Welcome to Living Lit, where conversations spark inspiration to live in truth. Journey together with us to explore what it means to live a liturgical life and walk in the truth of our faith. Let's instill a culture in our hearts, homes, families, and world, living a life cooperating with and walking alongside our Lord. I'm Robin Brueggemann. Let's be a light, share the light, shine the light, and live lit. The Catholic Church celebrates the feast day of St. Nicholas on December 6th. So mark your calendars to be sure and celebrate and take a holy pause for this saint that points his generosity and loving giving spirit back to our Lord. Take a listen at how our family celebrates. Okay, St. Nicholas, guys. St. Nicholas Day is such a fun day to celebrate in the month of December. He is just an awesome saint. My goodness. If you're going to be highlighting the lives of saints, St. Nicholas is definitely one to highlight, to stop on, to read up on just even a little bit, because his story is so beautiful of how he so simply wanted to be extremely generous. So he is a story of generosity, of giving to others, of caring for others, which, we see a lot of that going on, don't we, this time of year in Advent? We think of gift giving, right? For Christmas, we think of doing works of mercy. Maybe it's donating coats to people who don't have warm coats or mittens, or maybe you're picking up a shift at the gospel mission, at the soup kitchen. We're remembering different charities this time of year, right? So it's definitely a season, Advent/Christmas, of a generous heart. But St. Nicholas is just an amazing role model for us to look to in that. So in our home, we actually have quite a huge celebration, and I'm going to share about it. Now, by the time most of you hear this, unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit too late this year probably for you to act on it, but I'm just going to plant the seeds. So we started this, oh my goodness, years and years and years ago when our oldest kids, our oldest of 7, were young and little. And it started as a way to, and P.S., if you're listening to this and you have littles, you may want to listen a little bit later. We were looking for a way as parents to take the highlight off of Santa, because I was actually starting to get a little bit annoyed, because it's like, well, Santa gets all of this attention and the season is really about Christ. And so Spike and I were looking for a way to put more of the highlight throughout Advent as we're preparing our hearts on Christ. And also come Christmas morning, it was like Santa, right? And so we were looking for a way to kind of shift the attention slightly. And so we had heard about the St. Nicholas story, and it was so beautiful in his giving and his generosity, and kind of how he is really the origin of Santa Claus, and also of hanging stockings, which most of us do both, right, during Christmas. And so we naturally then just started to gravitate more towards St. Nicholas, who he was, his story. And we saw where traditionally St. Nicholas Day is celebrated by placing shoes outside, generally the night before. People will place their shoes, their kiddos' shoes, out the night before St. Nicholas Day. The kids will set them out, and then you fill them with like little goodies. Maybe it's a saint card, a holy card, gold coins, chocolate coins, maybe it's real coins, candy canes, these sort of things, and how fun. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so fun. And so I thought, we can do that. But what happened is, in my and Spike's effort to kind of just take the attention away from Santa Claus. Now, Santa does still come to our house on Christmas Eve. We're not total fun haters, but we just wanted there to be less attention given to Santa Claus and wanted the attention to be more towards St. Nicholas. So what came out of that, and like I said, we've been doing this for years, is we decided that we would do our stockings on St. Nicholas Day. So if you are familiar with St. Nicholas, the story, the shortened version of the story, and I can link some of our absolute favorite St. Nicholas books to this episode because we have many that then all we did was we would just read these stories to the kids growing up, and that's how they developed this huge love for St. Nicholas is through these different stories. So I'll link that in the show notes. So anyways, one of the stories, legends, says that St. Nicholas had heard of this dad who was struggling to provide a dowry for his girls. He had a few girls and also trying to keep them out of slavery. And so, but the dad needed money, right? But he didn't have any. This poor, hardworking dad just couldn't provide that. So the story says that St. Nicholas, in his generosity then, through the night, went to be sneaky. He was going to be like a secret Santa. Ever heard of the secret Santa? So he was going to be like this little secret giver, right? And he was going to help provide for this family, to help this dad in his time of need for his daughters. And so the story says that he snuck out at night and then had these gold coins that he tossed through the window into this family's house. And lo and behold, they had stockings hanging by their fireplace to dry, which they would have done in those days, right? And that the stockings then caught the gold coins. And so then the next morning, they found these gold coins in their stockings. You see where I'm going with this? So this is where we get the idea of stockings, right? Filling stockings with goodies. So Spike and I got thinking about the whole stockings. And so what we decided to do is to do our stockings on St. Nicholas Day. And so we hang the stockings out before St. Nicholas Day, and I decorate the house in, I'll say, Advent decorations, which is greenery. We probably have a couple trees up. We put up a lot of trees. It's kind of crazy. Our family tree doesn't go up until Gaudete Sunday, but we have a couple up. So it definitely looks Advent-y, pre-Christmassy, because it's not Christmas yet. So I'll decorate, and then we have all of the kids' stockings out, and then the kids who live local or close enough to where they can come home for Christmas, come home on, we celebrate it usually on St. Nicholas Day. And so that's when they open everything out of their stockings. And so we stuff their stockings with candy, and I always buy gold coins, chocolate gold coins, which I usually find at Aldi, and very cheap, by the way. And so we fill the stockings with that, and then that's when I do all the stocking stuffers. So their stockings are stuffed, and they know that all of this celebration is centered around St. Nicholas Day, who he was, a faith-filled, amazing, holy bishop. So they know his story, and they know that this is why we're celebrating. And it's in a heart of giving then that Dad and I want to shower this loving and giving Dad Spike on the kiddos, right? And what I have found, so I start actually doing my stocking stuffer shopping in September. So come next September, I'm going to come back at you and we're going to do this together. So I start shopping in September for stocking stuffers, and then I collect them all then over the next, couple months or so. And then I'm ready for St. Nicholas Day. And what I have found as a mom is that it has taken so much stress and pressure off of our Christmas morning because we're doing all of the stocking fun on St. Nicholas Day. So everybody gets all the goodies in their stockings, and we generally have done in the past what we've always done every year since the kids were little. Up until last year, we've switched doing this now to Christmas when all of the kids are home for Christmas. But all of the years of growing up, our kiddos got their new Christmas pajamas on St. Nicholas on the night of St. Nicholas Day. So we got new pajamas, new socks, their stockings are full, and then we have a really beautiful dinner together in honor of St. Nicholas. And we just do like a little refresher. If we haven't been reading the books, we just do a quick little story about him at dinner, at supper. I actually, if you know me, you know that I love dishes. And so I actually have St. Nicholas plates that I get out only on St. Nicholas Day. So we have a nice meal together, and we have candy canes, and we have little activities we do in honor of St. Nicholas. And then one of my older daughters, she for years then has made this really delicious, like a strudel. It's like a cherry strudel, and it's kind of just like our St. Nicholas dessert. So we have that, and it's just an absolutely lovely evening, like this pre-celebration in honor of St. Nicholas, but pointing to the Christ child who will be coming. And it has been, you guys, it has really changed our Christmas season. It did exactly what we were hoping for it to do, and that was to take all the attention off of Santa and shift it back to the origin of Santa and give Saint Nicholas more of the credit for that. But ultimately, what it's doing is it's pointing everybody to Christ coming. It's pointing us to Christmas. Of course, our Advent wreath is lit as we're eating supper around the table, and we have some special St. Nicholas prayers praying for his intercession. And so it's just absolutely beautiful. Now, I know this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I do get asked a lot about how our family celebrates St. Nicholas. And super fun story is I just recorded another podcast with a lovely gal today, and it turns out she was raised doing that same thing, which I've never in all my years run across anybody else who celebrates St. Nicholas Day like us, other than the people that maybe hear our story and then start that in their family. But anyways, I just encourage you, no matter what, maybe you'll hear something that I have shared and you'll think, oh, I kind of like that part of what they do, and you could take that and do it in your family. And again, I'm going to remind you, as I always do, special feast days are meant to be special and not stressful. So if you were going to try to pull this off last minute, it could become stressful. We don't want that. But you know what the Lord is inviting you into, and only you know that. You know what is going to be the best fit for your family and how you are going to live the liturgical life in your home. You know the best way to celebrate feast days. You will know that. So I'm here to give you ideas and hopefully make it seem doable and easy, and invite you in to celebrate in one way or another, just to have these holy pauses and ultimately grow closer to our Lord, because that's what the saints do. They point us directly back to Jesus, and they give us these models of how we too can just live holiness. We can live sacred, happy, joyful, holy lives focused on and centered around our Lord. So, hey, happy St. Nicholas Day and happy Advent. Thanks for joining us today. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Living Lit, and reach out with topics you'd like tackled at livinglit@sfcatholic.org. And be the light, shine the light, share the light, and live lit.